Yes, I'm Archer. I'm going to talk about Uppy, the file uploading library that doesn't bark at Mailman. Yeah, so here's me. I'm from Russia. This is me on Red Square when I was 5. My grandmother showed me Moscow for the first time. And there's actually another Russian speaker tonight. I swear there was no collusion. A few years ago, I started a web design studio called Baguette. I was making websites and applications for clients, like ranging from museums to personal blogs, collaborating with other developers and designers. And it's called Baguette because I like friends and baguettes. I also run a web development course for beginners. At some point I was looking for new projects and I stumbled upon a tweet from a company that's called Transloaded and that they were looking for an open source developer. The project description sounded like a dream, work on open source, wear cool outfits, more on that later, be amazing. They provide an API for developers, so they do like file uploading and video encoding and basically a Swiss Army knife for users' files. You can outsource that to them and they will like concatenate videos, generate audio forms, whatever. And they needed a modern JavaScript SDK for their service, but instead of building a proprietary thing, we thought let's make a cool logo and do an open source thing that's gonna just support the transcoding service optionally as a plugin. This is what it looks like. This is the main UI called the dashboard. When I started on this project, I was scared because I didn't know so many things. I've never like built file uploaders before. I've never written tests before at that point. How am I going to do this? And then I stumbled upon this quote, and I was still scared. And like right now I'm scared. I don't know where this talk is going. It's probably going to be okay. Sometimes I spend a day in this screen. I don't know how to quit. So yeah, the team is remote. It's distributed across the globe. I'm the only one in the US currently. There are people in Europe and Africa, and we hang out in Slack like we do, and we have a water cooler channel where we share like pictures of our lives and kids and dogs and whatever. And Alex is in Ukraine and Abdul is in Africa. So Alex will post a picture of snow and he'll kind of complain about it, like, look, we got so much snow now. And Abdul has never seen snow because he's from Algeria, and he's like, amazing! I've never seen snow. I hope I get to see this view someday. So I've been sending him some videos of snow from Murmansk, Russia. Yeah, and Ife is from Nigeria, so he's been sending us cool carnival pictures from Nigeria. And once a year, the team meets. This was last year in Amsterdam, but I couldn't come because visas are awesome. And they just printed my picture and put it in a tennis racket right there and carried it around with them, so to pretend that I was there. But this year I was able to come, and I lost in Mario Kart big time despite practicing the whole summer on my Nintendo Switch. But yeah, and Abdul and Ife were not able to come because visas are awesome, so we had to print them and carry them around with us. But back to Uppy, because I'm here to talk about file uploaders actually. Since it's a browser widget, it needs a view. And of course, probably I have to use React. But it was too big to bundle into like a widget that's going to be used in other applications, and also too hip. It's gotten better with file size now with version 16, but it was larger when I was like first considering my choices. And I was looking for something more suitable for embeddable widget. And just this morning I saw this tweet actually. So it's not just me. People are interested in like small libraries that can create DOM elements. And maybe I don't need view libraries at all. I can just create document, create element, everything like there's no tomorrow. But then I thought, maybe there is tomorrow, and maybe I will take my code again tomorrow, and I will not remember what the hell is here. You can also use like template strings that are new in JavaScript, sort of new, and inner HTML, but then the same problem persists with like finding those elements and updating them later on. So this concept started to make sense to me, like state generates view, and we run their entire template, and the library figures out what to update, so you don't have to think about it. So to create DOM elements, you actually internally use something that's called like H function or React create element. And Some people do that, but it's also not very pretty and easily comprehensible. So that's why JSX was created, which looks like regular HTML, sort of, and some people don't like it, but a lot of people use it nowadays. But there was something else that I discovered at that time, a library called Yo-Yo that combined Bell and Morph DOM, and Bell creates real DOM element from template strings. So yeah, that's nice. You don't need like a compilation step. You can just pass a string to this HTML function right here, and you get a real element that you can then mount. And then there's a library called MorphDOM or Nanomorph, another one, that updates the mounted element with the new one, same way as React works basically. And then there's Choo, and Joshua spoke at some Manhattan.js ago. So it's the same concept, but it includes the router and like sort of state handling thing. But so yeah, we didn't need router, and mutating state I've heard is bad for you. So this is the concept. Users click a button like upload. Set state function is called. It generates new state, and then this new state is passed to update functions in every component that handles view something. This is a more discrete example. So first we create an element, and then there's render and update functions. And whenever the new state, this is the update. So MorphDOM or whatever updates the old element that we created at first with a call to the render function that returns a new element. Template literals are fun because they're lightweight and standard JS sort of. A lot of people complain that JSX is not standard JS. It works without build steps. Smoother onboarding prototypes, you can just open index.html in your notepad, whatever, hack away. But for speed and production, you still want to compile template strings to actual H calls from earlier, or document create element calls, and support that is limited. In these libraries, they mostly had like browserify plugins, and I wanted the Babel transform for that because we're a library. And JSX has better syntax highlighting still, and tooling support is more bottle tested. But template literals are still around and popular. The recent addition from Polymer is libHTML that I encourage you to check out. So real DOM versus virtual DOM. So Bell creates real DOM elements, so that's like less abstraction. There's no virtual DOM used. But lifecycle events, accessing like individual elements in the DOM tree is harder. And their edge case is like, I created image, base 64 images, and they showed up in network requests in every render. So we got up with 1,000 requests, which are actually cached, but still, it kind of concerned me. Because like real elements are created in memory every time before the update, so it's probably slower. Another library that I liked that you should check out called Hyperapp. It's very small, like one kilobyte. Gzip. And a nice thing about it compared to like React is that it's also easier to grasp because it includes the state updating, basically Redux, and the actions, they can return promises. So you don't need to do like first Redux, then Redux Saga. You can just use this thing and it works. And it uses virtual DOM, and it's actually very nice. So. But of course there's also like Elm that inspired it all, and Angular, and Ember is sitting right here, and there's Choo and Svevel and Polymer and web components that are kind of getting popular. But we have not tried them for Uppy because they're either too big and complex, not popular enough. I'm not talking about Ember. We would be alone in the woods with these things. So we landed on Preact like a month ago. For 2 years we've been using Yo-Yo. It was quite nice, but it's compatible with React, so it has a larger community and less bugs than other solutions. All these lifecycle events, refs, and animations, everything is easy to do, and it's also tiny. And this is the quote from Preact, like, embed Preact into a widget and apply the same tools and techniques you would use to build a full app. So that's nice. And the switch was actually quite painless. This is all the things that we had to do. And at the time we kept HyperX, so all our like template code here, these template strings, they all stayed the same. We just replaced Yo-Yo with HyperX. But later on we switched to JSX, so it was a mess, but nevertheless. We do support React and Foo still, because you can create wrapper components around almost everything. So Uppy utilizes modular architecture. Everything is a plugin like you have in PostCSS or Babel. So you can only ship the functionality you're actually using to your users. This is how you add plugins to Uppy. You instantiate it first, and then you say use the dashboard, which is the UI, and then the XHR upload, which is the uploader, and you provide the endpoint and run it. Roughly, plugins look like this. They're more complex, but they wouldn't fit on the slide, so I had to kind of remove unnecessary stuff. This is the Informer plugin that notifies you about like lost internet connection or successful uploads, or says 1, 2, 3 smile before taking pictures. So you have an install method that renders the actual UI somewhere, and the plugin has a type and an ID. Plugins can also be installed into other plugins. So when you have this dashboard, you can use Instagram and status bar with it, and like Dropbox and whatever, like UI plugins and progress bars. And this is what it looks like in real world. Down there are progress indicators. Status bar is one of the progress indicators. Up there are acquires. So if plugin is a type of acquire, dashboard expects it has an icon, and it's going to render it there. When you click the icon, it's going to show you the panel and render the plugin content in it. And thumbnail generator is also a plugin. So if you don't need thumbnails, you can not use it and ship less code to people, and the thing will be faster but less pretty. So the UI plugins we have is the dashboard, drag and drop, which is very simple, file input, which is even more simple, progress bar, the form element that takes like a real form from your UI and takes all the metadata from it, and then after upload, it injects the result back into the form. This is what the dashboard plugin looks like. We also have upload and encode plugins. So XHR upload is like regular or old school uploads. TAS is a resumable upload plugin that Translated pioneered and Vimeo is currently adopting. And we also support S3, Google Cloud, and Translated encoding, of course. This is again how you would use it all together. So you want to use the nice dashboard interface, and you want to use the TAS uploader, and you want to process your files. So say your user uploads a video of a nice cat or dog, whatever you prefer, and you want to show it on the page, and you want to generate like MP4 and WebM versions. So you would use that in Transloaded. It's 3 steps: convert to WebM, convert to MP4, and then extract a thumbnail. And so this is how it will work. It's going to upload the video, and then it's going to encode, and you're going to get these 3 results: 2 videos and 1 thumbnail extracted. This is what the Instagram plugin looks like when you're like picking files from your Instagram. For remote providers, we have a thing called Uppy Server, which is also open source, and currently supports Instagram, Google Drive, and Dropbox, but more to come. And you can extend it with your own plugins. You can run it standalone or add to your Express application. Remote downloads and uploads happen on the server, so you're saving bandwidth when you're on mobile. And tokens are stored cloud side, so like we don't have any access to Google Drives and Instagrams, and we can't post weird pictures to your accounts or anybody else who's using this, because yeah, it's all open source. And files are removed after successful upload. But there are also helper plugins, like this one called Golden Retriever. And yeah, you're probably thinking to yourself, this is awesome as it is, how could it get any better? And it can, actually. Because file uploads can now survive browser crashes. And there's a demo that's probably going to go horribly wrong. But let's try it anyway. Okay, so I'm trying to mirror this place for the demo. And I have a separate desktop here. Okay, so yeah, there's Uppy, and I have some files on the desktop that I want to upload. Here they are. And we're going to start the upload. And of course, we can pause it. For example, if we realize we're uploading on mobile and we want to save bandwidth and continue upload when we're back on the Wi-Fi. But sometimes horrible things happen, like browsers crash. Oh no, it did. My Firefox crashed. So probably all is lost. Or is it? Yes, there is some trouble. Let's restore. Okay, and look at that. All is back. And I can continue uploading. Live demos are awesome when they work. Now I'm going to start mirroring again. I hope I can figure out the UI. Yeah, so how does it work? So local storage will store all your file state. That is all if you're using the Golden Retrieval plugin, it's optional. Service worker is used there. It stores references to blobs in memory. So it works for closing the browser tab or when user navigates away accidentally, but not the browser crash because it will probably shut down the service worker as well. But then we're using IndexedDB to store almost all files because mostly people upload pictures if you didn't know. So it's 10 megabytes per file by default, but it's configurable. And then smart cleanup mechanisms come along and they check for files that have been uploaded or are allowed for too long and then they clear those. We are not using Redux because we don't like simple solutions, so we're using setState. We just take the patch and generate new state and save the previous state and immediately update it when. But people want to integrate with Redux DevTools because they're nice, and they actually use Redux in their applications where they use Uppy. So we came up with two solutions. Redux DevTools actually is very cool because it's another plugin that you can use in Uppy when you're developing, and it will send updates to Redux DevTools extension. So it turns out you don't have to use Redux to use Redux DevTools. And it's nice, you can do the regular thing that you're familiar with if you've used that. So that's the article that explains how to do that. But another solution is to use custom stores. So when you're using Redux in your app, you can actually tell Uppy to use your Redux instead of its own internal store. And you are combining your reducers with Uppy reducer and provide a store to store and store. There's a lot of stores there. But yeah, it works. It's great. So since this is a user interface widget, it needs to talk to users. And we use Polyglot, slightly modified from Airbnb. And we supply the dictionary. And then there are cases where you wanted to say upload 2 files or 3 files. And there's a thing called pluralization. So it's upload 1 file or upload 2 files. And in English, it's simple. So if it's 1, then it's 1 file. If it's 2 files. It's great. But then in Russia, we don't like binary choices. We're always looking for alternative ways, and the way is determined by the condition right here. So if you like that, if you're into that, I encourage you to learn Russian. It's amazing. Accessibility is something we also consider when developing the UI widget. And these are my findings. Trapping focus inside model dialogues is a smart thing to do, and allowing closing with escape. So when the user hits tab, the tab shouldn't go around your page. It should stay inside the model dialog. Hide presentational elements with area hidden. Add tab index 0 to elements that should be focusable but are not usually, like div. But maybe also don't use div, use button type, button and less divs. I know designers don't like outlines, especially browser standard outlines, but first thing I did was hide all the outlines. Don't hide outlines. They're useful. Add area labels to buttons that has icons but no text, because this is important. Then the description can be read out loud. These are resources that are important that I found useful for accessibility. The micro model, most of the code I just stole, so it's open source. And microtip, which provides useful tooltips, but also accessible. And GitHub has a nice thing called accessibility.js that will check your website or application for accessibility issues. And same thing with BA11Y. So, yeah, open source is very nice, mostly. I'm not going to talk a lot about why it might not be nice, but we are very happy that it's open source. The library is open source. We get feature requests. They're also pretty nice, and people are actually using Uppy, and they find some use case that we're not addressing yet, and they will come and explain it so we can make choices about the roadmap. But sometimes people come and they're even more awesome. They will write features for you and send pull requests, and you don't have to do anything. You pretend you like this is your job, but you're just reviewing the pull request and merging it, and then the library has new features. It's amazing. I really am into open source. That's my talk. You check out Uppy on Uppy.io. There are slides at bit.ly Uppy talk. You can follow me. I'm available for like meetups, conferences, and personal entertainment, weddings. And, thank you.